Hey everyone, Jazz here, and I'm going to give you guys some tips on box fighting. Mainly three common mistakes that I see happen a lot. I wouldn't say these, I'm not sure if I'd call them the biggest mistakes or anything. It's just three common mistakes that I notice a lot. Especially recently, I've been noticing all of these in my sessions. So I just figured, hey, screw it, let's make a video. So here I am. It's going to be one defensive mistake, one offensive mistake, and one more of a general mistake that people make both defensively and offensively. So when I say offensive and defensive, I just mean like if you are boxed up, then you're playing defensive, and if you are the person attacking the box, then you're offensive. So let's start with the offensive mistake that I see a lot of people make. And it basically comes down to not being ready for what the opponent is planning to do. So usually it comes down to not pulling out your shotgun enough to counter people editing, but there's also some movement involved. So what I mean is if you're constantly going for a wall or place and constantly have your pickaxe out, then if your opponent's quick and they go for an edit, then you're basically just not ready for that edit and you're going to take damage without you being able to retaliate in any shape, way, or form. So what you want to make sure you do, you want to pull out your shotgun in between things. So if you go for the wall, pull out your shotgun. If you're just moving around the box, have your shotgun out, not your pickaxe, unless you're planning to. If you want to pickaxe something fast like this, then have your pickaxe out, obviously. It's just be aware of the fact that they'll go for edits. But as I said, like it's deeper than that, because I see a lot of people make videos about pulling out your shotgun, but they don't talk about how having good movement can also really mess with your enemies. So what I mean with that is, imagine you're the enemy, right? There's basically only a couple things that they're going to do that is immediately threatening to you. They're usually going to go for this edit, just because it's a sneaky angle that people love to go for nowadays, for good reason, because it's a good good edit, obviously. As well as they'll do this, right? This trap. So how do you kind of avoid these kind of things, or how do you at least avoid those kinds of things being super problematic for you? Something that I do a lot is first of all, I'm usually on the left side of my ramp, because this way whenever someone goes for this angle, I'm fairly prepared for it. Because if you're over here, the more you are, the more to the left you are on your ramp, the less like this angle like is beneficial to your opponent, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I said it right, but I think you guys know what I mean. So combining being to the left as well as jumping up here is just really good, because if you jump up here the moment this edit goes through, or even before, then you can imagine your enemy basically seeing nothing but your feet. It's just important that watch out when you jump up here, because obviously that won't be yours and you can get edited in. If you can have fairly precise movement, which, you know, if you practice it, you can jump basically over here, and then you're standing on this wall if they try to edit you in. So yeah, I do that a lot, where I'll hit this, then maybe jump over here, and maybe jump over here. Just being very mobile combined with understanding which angles they're going to go for. So you don't really want to be here in the middle constantly going for this wall, because eventually they're going to try to get an angle on you. The more mobile you are, the less they can figure out an angle. As well as with the trap thing, if they try to place a trap. If you're high up on your ramp, then that won't happen either, so don't be too low. Alright, yes, let's move on to mistake number 2, which is a defensive mistake. So I see people making this problem when they are defending. It's basically not expanding early enough in the fight. Think about it this way: if someone's going to approach my box, which obviously someone is going to because you're defending, if they kind of find a way to trap you in this box, so what I mean with that is, or if they have an advantage over you while you're in this box. So if they take this wall, for example, then suddenly that's their wall. Then you want to basically get away from here, and then suddenly you're expanding. But if you want basically a good way to escape, then you want to expand up early on in the fight. So before even anyone approaches, you want to make sure that you're always at least one story up, because then in which case if someone comes to your box and they take your wall, for example, or they even place a ramp over you like this, right? Then you can just instantly edit down. So then you're basically safe again. So being able to edit down is the best way to defend against anything. The best way to escape, mainly, because it's not really a... You cannot do it forever, so because eventually you're going to have to damage the person that you're fighting. But editing down is the best way to escape it, like escaping a situation when you know that it's a terrible situation. So in this case, this would be bad. I just want to get out. If you have the mechanics, it's important to reset this, but even if you cannot reset it, it's still a good edit. So just being able to expand early on in the fight is really important when it comes to not dying because of knowing that you're in a bad situation. If you're in a bad situation, just edit down. And when you're on the ground floor, you cannot edit down. By the way, the best way to expand in a fight is with a side jump, in my opinion, just because, I don't know, it's quick, it's hard to predict, and if you want to make it even better, which I've been teaching my students for quite a while now, people have been calling it the Jazz Classic, and when I say people I mean like one person. But I figured maybe I should start calling it like that too, because what I do is basically that, and I fake that edit, and then I go here. So you can either go for the side jump or you can just go for a shot, because usually the counter to this, when someone sees this happening, they try to place a wall. So if suddenly you come flying out the side, it's pretty nice. So let's see if I can. So if you do it quickly, if you think about it this way, like what your opponent sees, they see a ramp being placed and they see this being edited, and like basically every other time that happens is someone trying to escape through the roof. So if you do it like this, oh, that's something you have to watch out for, by the way. You can get stuck on that edit if you're too close to the wall. So right now I'm all the way against the wall, and now if I look up, I'm editing my back wall. So you want to make sure that, I think, yeah, usually I just make sure I stand a little bit forward. That way it kind of fixes it. So so you do this, then this, and then you either go for the shot or you expand. Obviously you don't want to miss your jump, but it's not a big deal because generally people will be doing that. So it's a quick little tip that is really good. I've done it in game. It works like no other tip has ever worked. Let's see. All right, so the final tip, the final mistake I should say, that I see a lot of people make is they will edit. This happens both defensively and offensively, by the way, where they will edit unsafely and they'll have poor movement. So what I mean with that is, this is actually the most. I feel like this mistake has been talked about a lot by other YouTubers, but more like a year ago, like a long time ago, people were talking about this. But it's kind of had a. This mistake has kind of had a resurgence, so to speak, because a lot of people have been practicing their edits and they want to make sure to edit as quick as possible and to do specific things, like fast. But then they forget their basics. So whenever you edit, there's a shotgun pullout time, right? So if you confirm this, your shotgun needs to pull out, and in that time you cannot shoot. It takes a while before you can shoot. So what you want to start doing, if you don't do it already, and if you do it, then good for you, is that you want to make sure that the moment the edit goes through, you are basically safe. So imagine there's a guy in there, the difference being me doing this and me getting shot, and this, him either shooting or not shooting, doesn't matter because he just won't be able to hit me. And then make sure you have a good peek. So adding a crouch, by the way, to this is super beneficial. It makes you so much quicker, because when you crouch down to the left here, it basically gives you more momentum downwards and to the left. And the same with the peek, but the reverse happens. So if you like uncrouch while going to the right, it makes it a lot harder for people to track your movement, because you're basically going like a kind of a diagonal way instead of just like this. You see it, like it even looks slower. If you do this, compared to that. So adding that crouch is really good. So yeah, it's not too hard of a tip, or it's not too hard to implement, I should say, because you don't need insane mechanics or anything. It's just sidestepping, and adding a crouch to the sidestep makes it even better. Because quite often people will try to expect an edit like this, and if you sidestep like this, then they'll kind of shoot past it. I mean, if you do this, then all they have to do to create an angle is basically just that. Well, if you move over here, then it's a lot harder for them because they'd have to go basically all the way outside of their box. They have to go all the way like this. Well, the difference being over here, if they just jump, they can kind of create that angle. I'm sorry I don't have a partner to show these kinds of things with right now. I'll try to have one next time, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. The most common, or the biggest, I even see this mistake happen when people do the Mongo Classic. So people have been practicing this for quite a while, where they'll like try to edit this, do that, which is good. Obviously, those mechanics are important. However, people still forget to sidestep. So doing that instead of just standing here. Because think about it this way: if the person who's inside the box is just looking at you while you do it, then you're going to be exposed for a short amount of time, where the person in the box actually has the advantage because of that pullout time. Like right here, my shotgun pulls out, and that time is time where this guy could shoot you in the face. So just making sure that when you place the ramp and you do that, you move to the left. And it's the same with going from the top, by the way. It's just with any edit. So if you want to confirm this, moving over here, just really important. You can either reset the edit, place the wall. I don't care what you do, as long as you are safe the moment the edit goes through. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video specifically, I think. I'll try to have one out. I'll try to have another one out within 7 days. I think that's fairly doable. Let me know if you'd like more box fighting stuff, or if you want any other topics to be talked about or discussed, so to speak. And yeah, have an awesome rest of the day. Bye bye.